Even in the chaos of Gaza's Al-Shifa hospital morgue, respectful observances still apply. So you step delicately over the bodies of the dead. And mourners are given time to identify the bodies, articulate their grief. So that is what Sabrine Ahmed Al-Absi does for her brother. In the body bags, her brother, 35-year-old Mohammed Ahmed, his wife Shaima, who was pregnant, their daughters, who were 8 and 5. Their apartment near the port in Gaza City was hit just after 2:30 this morning. And inside, the grandmother of the children killed holds on to the only survivor of the strike, 2-year-old Ahmed. We've looked into this family's background and are confident that Mohammed Ahmed, Sabrine's brother, was a Hamas operative, therefore a target for the IDF. We've asked them about this strike and why they deemed him a significant enough target to warrant the killing of his family as well. The IDF haven't replied as of yet. Outside the morgue, a chilling message from Sabrine Ahmed to Benjamin Netanyahu.
فكرك هيك خلص بده يقضي على كل المقاومين وكل شباب المخيم حنولد ونخلف ونجيب أجيال يحاربوهم ويقتلوهم كلهم.
In Jerusalem today, an attempt to break that lopsided, deadly cycle. A group of activists occupy the roof of Israel's National Library. Cue the megaphones and the stuff of librarians' nightmares.
Now what we are doing here is protesting against this war, which serves no interest apart from the interest of the Prime Minister himself.
Do you think that you represent the majority of the Israeli population, your view?
We represent the majority. We had a 500,000 strong demonstration 2 weeks in a row.
On Sunday evening, a security cabinet meeting took place. Top of the agenda, the new ground offensive in Gaza City.
According to Israeli media, it was a fractious affair. The chief of staff of the IDF, Eyal Zamir, voiced his support for a partial negotiated hostage deal. He obviously has reservations around the incursion into Gaza City. But those reports also said that Benjamin Netanyahu shot him down, rejected that idea again. And that schism between Benjamin Netanyahu and the top brass of the IDF is potentially very significant.
There is also growing disquiet around sending more Israeli soldiers into Gaza City to prosecute the new ground offensive there. Thousands of IDF reservists arrived at their bases yesterday after a call-up last month. In the west of Gaza City, they stretch out for food, for the ability to survive for another day. Because tomorrow could bring something much worse as they see it. Boots on the ground.
Well, earlier I spoke to British surgeon Paul Ransom, who's working in Nasser Hospital in Khan Yunis on the Gaza Strip. The hospital was attacked on August the 25th, leaving 20 people, including 5 journalists working for international media outlets, dead. Paul Ransom arrived at the hospital shortly afterwards, and I began by asking him to describe the conditions there. And some of you may find the details in this interview distressing.
Frankly, every day there is a mass casualty that we see. Yesterday, there were 200 patients severely injured from bullet wounds, blast injury and shrapnel injury that came in through the emergency department. We had to certify 40 of them dead. Every day, we're seeing probably between 30 to 100 or more patients that come in with these injuries. So the department is finding it really difficult to deal with these at the moment on a month-on basis. There's a kind of resilience that they've got, but actually it's starting to wear thin.
And have you noticed conditions deteriorate in terms of how many people are in the hospital, how crowded it is, and the kind of extent of supplies?
Yeah, absolutely. We're running in Nasser Hospital at about 200% over capacity. There are tent hospitals that the Ministry of Health and Nasser Hospital has put up outside, but there are no beds for these patients. They're waiting orthopedic operations, and they sadly have to be on the floor. So mattresses and beds are a real short supply. Even in our department as well, we run out of beds sometimes, and so we're having to treat patients with gunshot wounds on the floor. Drugs is also a complicated issue. Medications and other consumables often run short, particularly at the end of our mass casualties.
And you've talked obviously about the wounds from gunshot, from shrapnel and so on, but are you also seeing more and more patients with symptoms of starvation?
Yeah, that appears to be more in the north than down in the south. It's noticeable for me. I was working here last year, 18 months ago. My colleagues that I see every day in the hospital and working here in our Type 2 hospital in Awasi, they are markedly thinner, gaunter looking, and you can definitely see the effects of not having enough food over the intervening 18 months. And we do see some very sad cases of children, particularly coming in malnourished into Nasser Hospital. I had to certify 2 children who had been shot who were dead, and things are happening so fast, we had to whisk them away to the mortuary. And then 20 minutes later, I saw 2 young girls coming back in. I thought, I recognize this pattern of injury. And it was the parents who'd thought that there were signs of life in their dead children, who just could not bring themselves to the reality that their children had died, and rushed them back to the emergency department to see if we could resuscitate them again. So we do what we can. Like make sure that we can talk to the parents, but actually that kind of anguish, where do you go with that as a parent? You know, and we're seeing that daily, and I think there's a knock-on effect on the staff as well, who are seeing this happening on such a daily basis.
And you know, this is now, your colleagues there have been working nearly 2 years in a place at war. What kind of psychological impact does that have on people trying to save lives there?
I'm fortunate. I'm here for a period of time, and then I can go back home. It's my colleagues here that I'm more concerned about. There's a sort of, I would say, resigned resilience that's taking place, where they've been doing this for so long, but increasingly they don't see an outlet. So last year, when I was here, they would say, when the war finishes, at the end of the war. And now I'm hearing that less and less, and it doesn't seem to be that many of them are thinking that there's good outcomes at the moment. And that's hard for us to hear as well. We do our best in our work to try and say, well, we're supporting you, we're doing as best we can, but it is hard to hear, certainly.
And now that Israel's plan to take over Gaza City is underway, what effect will that have on a population that has now been bombarded for nearly 2 years?
This is the train coming down the tunnel for us here. If there's 750,000 plus people moving down into an area where there is almost no space to put your tents to live, there is no place that has been prepared yet for them, with very difficult, overcrowded health facilities and also sanitation. I don't know how we're going to cope with this. We are thinking about this, trying to pre-position and plan. With more funds, we could actually try and open more centres around the place, so that is really important. But it is a significant issue for us and any one organisation, Palestinian or international, trying to think of the immediate future over the next months.
Paul Ransom, thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.